Hello, family. Welcome. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good morning, Grand Rising, Joyous Rising family. I hope everybody's doing well today. Today is Thursday. It is December the 19th, 2024, and the time is around 12:17 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Welcome, everybody. Let me know that you can see me and hear me well. And check in and let us know where you're hailing from, family. We got some good news to share with you today. But this is just, a short podcast because I just want to let you know that what we've been saying about us moving to the gold standard is becoming more and more of a reality. So, hello, it's getting gooder and gooder, as Big Lee says. That's right, Big Lee huge. Hello, Michael Hawkins. Hi, Big Lee. Good morning. Grand Rising. Hello, Malik. Superior Rising to you. All of our soul family, we're so glad that you're here today joining us on the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show. Let's get into the news. Linda says, hello, everybody. I cannot wait for Dr. Kia Pruitt. I'm here. Hello, Emil. Good to see you. Hello to all my family that's joining in on Instagram as well. Hi, who is that? Jan is joining in. Grandson is here and many others. Who else? Who is that? Ancestral Gifts. Hello. I'm Boss Cheryl. Hi. Villarreal is here. Peace to you, Saint Remy. Grand Rising. St. Remy says, peace, Auntie. Hi, darling. Hello, Villarreal. Hello, Sonic Boom, a Sonic Boom. Amazon is on strike. I did not know that. Ooh, interesting. Sister Sarah Zam says, hello, good morning. Hi, Texas. Hello, everybody that's in the house. Ohio is here. Amen. OCO family. Who else is here? Columbus, Ohio's in the house. Hi, Rashad. Good morning. Shata says, sent a request to be in my live video. You want to be here? Okay, you can join us. Anybody else want to join? Just let us know. I'll send you a link. Linda DeCarla is in the house. Hello. Southern California. Hi, Sister Karen. It's good to see you. Derek is in the house. Good morning, Grand Rising. Melissa is here. Hello. Sister Deity is here. Oh, I love your name, Sister. Welcome. Grand Rising. Oh, you can hear me, Nadine. Sister Nadine says, thank you so much. Who else is in the house? Adelaida, says, hello from Florida. Volusia City. Welcome. I see Ishmael Pruitt, my nephew. Hi, nephew from Southern California is in the house. We're talking about gold today, nephew. Remember, we used to talk about currencies and silver and gold back in the day? And I think I told you that gold is for kings, silver is for noblemen, and debt is for slaves. Well, kings, queens, and nobles should have silver and gold. And that's what we're talking about today, nephew. So for all of you that's in the California region, my nephew Ishmael Pruitt is over and he is the CEO and founder of a nonprofit organization that helps mentor young people, and he takes care of a segment of the population that a lot of us are really passionate about, and that is the homeless. So, Mishmael, can you put the link to your project and the name of your project in the description section or in the chat so I can show people what you're up to? My nephew has a master's degree in the same thing as me, higher education and student affairs, and reminds me so much of myself. Because my brother and I grew up like twins, and we trained our children to do well academically, to also participate in helping people in the community. And he's a young man, so in his 20s, even in college, he was feeding the homeless, taking care of the homeless. And that's when he first founded his first project to help the homeless and to help mentor young people in this community, actually in Sacramento. And then he expanded it from Sacramento all the way out through Southern California. So I am so very proud of my nephew. It is called, let me see, my darling, it's called Project Optimism. Don't you guys love that? So he put it in the chat. Let me see if I can put it here as well on the chat. Here, he's on Instagram. So his name is Ishmael Pruitt. You can find him on Instagram and Facebook. And Ishmael also is a part of the Alpha. What do you call it, nephew? Alpha fraternity or alpha, I don't know if we call it Alpha Psi something, but he's a part of a fraternity that helps the community in Southern California. So I'm so very proud of him. He just makes my brother and me very, very grateful that he followed in our footsteps. And of course, I'm going to take some ownership and I'm going to take some praise for that because he got the Pruitt name. So I'm so proud of you. Feathers Up, Walk and Talk says it's good to see you. Hello, Lala. You're welcome, Ishmael. He married right out of college, got a brand new, beautiful baby boy, owns his own home, bought his wife, a home. So good man, good stock, good bloodline. And this is why I always tell you, that family members, that legacy is so important. Stand on principles, stand on values, and do not back down. Push those values, godly values, into your children and into your community. And even though, people will try to tell you you shouldn't, or you should let adults be adults, you have to start at the young age, because we're living in order to pass down something to our posterity. So this is why I'm so passionate about what I'm doing, family, because if we want a great, wholesome, healthy society, it starts with the family. A great, wholesome society is built upon great, wholesome communities. Great, wholesome communities are built upon great, wholesome families. Great, wholesome families are built upon you being healthy, whole, and well. So after this podcast, I'm going to put out a stream of podcasts that my son, Douglas Lattimore, and I did about the importance of family, the importance of masculinity and femininity, because the deep state tries to get rid of the masculine principle, and try to make women shame men for being men, when men have a role in our society to bring structure, to bring provision and protection. And women have a role in society to inspire the men and to love and nurture the children and the community. And women have a spiritual responsibility to seek the ancestors or the gods or the creator, as it were, and pass down those principles to our bloodline and to our family, and to maintain peace and justice in the community. So we all have a role here. And this is why God created me to share those type of principles, so that we can become a strong, healthy society. So that's it for that, family. You're going to see a whole lot of just different clips that my son and I did, and then big podcasts that he and I did earlier, to talk about family, legacy, and why that's important as we move forward and usher in this new golden era. So I've been talking about the golden era for years. Since 2014, I've been talking about gold when I lived in Africa. And I noticed that you saw the Chinese, they're mining for gold. I saw European nations mining for the gold, and just all different type of people mining in Ghana, which is called the Gold Coast, and couldn't figure out why. This was in 2014, but we visited the gold mines and we would film from there. And I went on live on my Facebook page and showed you guys some of that in 2014. What? My Instagram video just ended. That's crazy, family. It's wild, because I've been having issues since I've been talking about all this stuff for many, many years on all of my social media platforms, like even on Twitter. They won't allow me to monetize. And when I asked them if I could appeal, they said there's no way to appeal. Wild. Now they're asking me if I want to discard my video on Instagram. No, I don't want to discard the video. This is crazy. But anyway, we've been talking about the gold standard and how we're moving to gold for a long time, since 2014. And I would go and visit Ghana. Again, it's called the Gold Coast because it's one of the leading producers of gold. Wow, they will not allow me to get out here. In the whole African continent. Hold on 1 minute, family. We're going live again. All right. We're live again on Instagram. So let me see. Hold on, family. I would talk about gold from my lives in Ghana from 2014 through 2016. And then lo and behold, who came online as the president but Donald Trump? And his whole platform was about taking down the deep state. I'm trying to figure out how I can put this. And then he started talking about moving us to the gold standard. Hold on, family. Let me let my Instagram family know what's going on. We wanted this to be a smooth podcast, but no, we have issues as always. So let's go live again on Instagram. All right. I was telling you about what's going on in the world. So we talked about how the world was moving back towards gold. It looked like anyway in 2014. And then President Trump came on board in 2016. And when he came, he wanted to nominate Dr. Judy Shelton to be the head of the Federal Reserve. And when you looked into why he would desire for Dr. Judy Shelton to become the chair of the Federal Reserve, you understood that this woman has a PhD in economics, and she is a gold bug, meaning that she supports the whole world being on the gold standard, particularly America being on gold standard. So she, as an economist and having a degree, a master's degree and a doctorate in economics and business, understood and overstood the value of gold and silver. So that's why President Trump wanted to have Dr. Judy Shelton as the chair of the Federal Reserve, but it didn't work out. Nevertheless, Donald Trump kept talking about silver and gold as he was dropping comms or spreading codes during his presidency. And even before his presidency, you can see that he was talking about gold. He wouldn't come straight out and say that we're moving forward to gold and silver as money, but President Trump actually leased out one of his towers to APMEX, which is a precious metals company. And in exchange for them leasing out his top floor, he accepted gold and silver. Do you all remember that? And that was years ago. Let me see. Leases building to APMEX for gold. Let me see if I can find that for you. And he said during that time that this is a precursor for what is to come. Let me see if I can show that for you. Trump accepts gold instead of dollars from a tenant, is what this article says. So I'm just laying the foundation to let you all see that we've been planning to return to gold and silver as money for a long time. Here you go. Share the screen. Trump accepts gold instead of dollars. Here you go. From a tenant. When was this published? This article was published September the 15th, 2011. That's how long ago Trump was talking about gold and silver. There's that day again, 15. If you guys have paid attention to my most recent videos, I said that the 15th was a very important day. What I said to you all was it was on the 14th. I was praying and I was asking the Most High, my highest self, what's going to go on? When are people going to start seeing with their own eyes that money is actually rolling out and that we're moving towards an era of prosperity? And the Most High spoke to me and said, tomorrow. So I came online on the 15th and I showed you where I had written it out that whilst I was praying and in meditation, I asked, when are people going to see with their eyes the financial system change? When are they going to realize money and see a reset? And the word, it came out tomorrow. And I said, well, I had to figure out what was so important about the 15th. And then I did a podcast to let you all know that December the 15th was actually the anniversary of the Bill of Rights being ratified. And the Bill of Rights are the first 10 amendments to the Constitution that guaranteed liberties such as freedom of speech, freedom of, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to bear arms, etc. So I talked about how the 15th was important. We also talked about how on the 15th of last year, President Trump made an announcement from Mar-a-Lago saying that he was going to say something really huge, and that the announcement that he came out with actually happened during the anniversary of the Bill of Rights, where he signed into law the digital Bill of Rights. He wasn't even a lawful president, right? At least not up front. Now, all of us know that behind the scenes, Trump has been the commander in chief for a very long time. So he was able to come out with this Digital Bill of Rights Act last year. And that act basically stated that mainstream media and social media would not be allowed to continue to censor us. And if they do, they will face severe penalties. He said, as soon as I come back, that's what I'm going to do. He also came out with Superman cards of himself as Superman on December the 15th, 2023. And I thought that was funny because he alludes to himself as being Superman. And most interestingly, too, is that the first Superman movie came out on a December 15th. And this all goes back to the importance of the 15 being 1 plus 5 equals what? Life. 1 plus 5 is a 6. It equals humanity. It looks like a pregnant person, a pregnant lady. It represents life because 6, 6 carbon, 6 neutrons, 6 proton actually is equivalent with carbon. All life has carbon. Okay. And when you think about heavily melanated people, they have lots of carbon, but everything living has carbon. It's about life. So these people, these deep state people, and even good people that are part of so-called elite, they love the number 6. And just when you understand and overstand numerology and the sacred numbers, then you understand and understand, or I should say overstand, how to use these numbers to manifest certain things. So since I said that the Most High told me that on the 15th, people will start seeing things with their eyes. I came on, I talked about that on the 15th, and I showed you a video where President Trump actually came up with a unannounced, which a lot of people didn't see it. It was an unexpected announcement, and he did a news, I don't know what you call it, where he wanted to talk to the news, right? He just made an announcement from Mar-a-Lago stating that the gold era for America has begun. He said it begins now. The golden age for America begins now. Then I let you all know that the 17th, more news will come out. And I said, all this week, you're going to see amazing news come out about how we're moving towards the golden era and how many people are about to realize abundance and wealth. And lo and behold, we got information today. But before we go into that information, let me go back to this article where I was going to show you how President Trump was talking about gold in 2011. Trump accepts gold from his tenants. So let's see, the rents are too darn high, to quote Jimmy McMillan, former New York gubernatorial candidate, is how this article starts. And for Donald Trump, that's true when it comes to rent and cold, hard dollars, given his sharp criticisms of the Federal Reserve. This was 2011. How they opened fire hydrants of dollar printing and the Obama administration fiscal policies, which is why for the first time, Trump will accept today, this was September 15, 2011, gold bullion instead of dollars for a lease deposit from his newest tenant in one of his marquee properties, 40 Wall Street. This was a 70-story skyscraper in Manhattan. Who was this newest tenant other than AppMex? Usually Trump gets a certified check for a security deposit when leasing space in one of his towers. But for the first time, Trump made an announcement that he would accept gold bullion worth $200,000 from Michael Haynes, chief executive of precious metals dealer AppMex. The gold payment was AppMex's idea, the article states, and Trump's press office says Trump has been bullish on gold due to his concerns about the value of the United States dollar. So the president has been bullish on gold for a very long time. As you all see, that article came out in 2011. And now here we are today with a very amazing announcement that Florida has just launched their new gold-backed currencies. So let me take a pause here because I've been talking about gold and silver for so long that some people didn't know if this was real or not. But we can see more and more states repeal the state sales taxes from the sales of precious metals and states actually printing their own gold backs. But before the state of Florida launched this gold back on today, well, they made an announcement. It won't be launched until January. But before they even made that announcement, it was interesting how there was an article that was published that said that Trump had backed Jimmy Patronis to replace Mike Gaetz because he wanted Florida to adopt gold and silver as a legal tender. So you had Jimmy Patronis that was not only endorsed by President Trump, but the House Speaker and many others. The article goes on and says that Patronis told Fox News Digital during an interview on Thursday that he is eager to run and support President Trump and President Trump's agenda to eliminate wokeness and to introduce gold and silver. I told you all a few days ago in a video that Patronus launched a study. He wanted to study to see what will happen if you would use gold and silver as legal tender to buy local goods and services with these gold bags. And I said, listen, if they're telling you he's launching a story launching a study to see how gold and silver will do as legal tender, then what they're doing is they're dropping codes to let you know they will do this. They will use gold and silver as money, and Florida will lead the way. Do you remember me saying that just a few days ago? And I also told you that 45 states have already reclaimed silver and gold as money. And the way they did that was by removing the state sales taxes from the sales of precious metals. Because historically, once we came off the gold standard, silver and gold then became known as a commodity, something that you can use like just as a collectible. That's crazy. Although we've always used silver and gold as money since biblical times and before biblical times, all of a sudden, when Nixon came into office and he took us off the gold and silver standard, now we can only recognize gold and silver as a commodity, like they recognize trading cards and artifacts, just a collectible. Well, 45 states here in America, and according to some articles that were put out by the Sound Money Defense League, more than 45 states are now saying that we're recognizing silver and gold as money. And the way you know that's happening is by them repealing or removing the state sales taxes from precious metals, because you can put a tax on a commodity. You can put a tax on a trading card or on a collectible. But I'm telling you, behind the scenes, we have very benevolent people working to take us off the Federal Reserve system, central banking system, and to remove us from using the USD, United States dollar, fiat money, that's money or currency that's backed by nothing. So they were secretively moving to do this by removing the state sales tax from the sales of precious metals. And I've been announcing this for a while now, and I kept saying, this is huge. It's interesting the way I was getting fought against by some people in the precious metal space, fought against by some economists, fought against by social media who would remove my videos and my channels when I talked about us moving as a whole nation and a world towards using silver and gold as money. Not only did they remove my channels from YouTube, but they censored me on LinkedIn. They took down my account. I had to beg them to put it back up. It took a long time. They removed me from TikTok. They banned me. They said forever. And every time I would try to create a new account, but they would see it was coming from, me, even if I changed my name, they would just remove the channel. They're censoring me on X, on Twitter, and it's supposed to be now a part of the Republic. It's supposed to be now owned by Elon Musk. But they told me not only can you not talk about these things, but you may not be monetized. And if we do let you slide, you still won't be monetized, and you may never appeal. Crazy, because they don't want you to know the truth, family. So I'm going to show you this video that I did here, where I talked about all these things we're going to talk about today. Here's where I said the world is ready. Breaking financial news. And I said here that gold and silver will be used by Florida. I talked about how they might try the deep state, or the cabal, the elite might try to launch some type of black swan event or some type of false flag event in order to stop us from moving to gold and silver as money as a nation. And even when you saw President Trump's announcement and press release or press conference from Mar-a-Lago earlier, I think it was like a couple of days ago, he said the golden era for America begins now. But he also said, we hope that the people that were in power, the cabal, doesn't try to stop this. He said, because when we were trying to do this before, they came up with the China virus. So that's why in this particular podcast, I said they might try to launch a black swan event. I said, be careful, be mindful of how they often do something like launch Black Lives Matter or Antifa or these Soros funded groups to, under the guise of peaceful protesting, cause mayhem, and all that could really destroy the economy if they're tearing up property and destroying people's restaurants and businesses. So I said, keep your emotions in check, stay grounded. And in this podcast, I also talked about how more than 45 states reclaim silver and gold as money. And I talked about how the whole world is rushing back towards silver and gold as money. So I'll put that in the description section for you, family. I just want to let you know that we've been talking about these things and now we see them coming into fruition. So you saw President Trump back this new guy, Jimmy Patronis, to replace Matt Gaetz in his administration. And Matt Gaetz, when he did his press release, he said that I'm going to launch a study on what it would look like if we introduce gold and silver as legal tender. And I'll show you that article here. And again, whenever they tell you that they're thinking about launching a study, it means they've already worked behind the scenes to accept silver and gold as money or as legal tender. But they have a tendency to drop information little by little because they think that we can't take all of the news, or because they're playing mind games with us. And this is why I just come straight out and tell you. I just come straight out and tell you the news. I don't have time to play with these people. Here you go. Patronis told Fox News Digital during an interview on Thursday that he's eager to run and support President Trump's agenda to eliminate wokeness. And what else? And he endorses him to use gold as legal tender. Gold bars are displayed here at a particular bank. Oh, on January 9th, it says. And he said, gold and silver have been trusted assets for thousands of years. Therefore, it makes perfect sense to use them as legal tender. I'm launching this study, Patronis says, to determine the best way to get it done. Patronis said in this statement included in a press release earlier this week. He indicated to Fox News Digital that he hopes the study will pave the way for the state legislature to approve legislation to, quote, allow this type of economic freedom right here in the state of Florida. Florida often leads the way, but we also know that Texas has plans to go towards the gold standard. And Texas has not only talked about coming up with their own gold-backed currency, but they talked about seceding from the union for a long time. However, it's important to note that under our republic, each state operates as its own country. That's why each state has its own lawmakers, it has its own flag, it has its own symbol, because the states are a nation, they're a country. Interestingly, also, some people say that they believe that either Canada will become the 51st state in America or Hawaii. But as I always say, Canada is already a part of Al-Marak, Turtle Island, the Moroccan dynasty, Northwest Africa, the North Gate, also known as America or Amorica. Canada is a part of us. Allegedly, Hawaii is too, but then I talked to somebody from Hawaii that said that they were their own nation. So we'll see. The reason why we brought up the fact that Canada could become the 51st state of North America is because we noticed that President Trump rang the bell 51 times when he was at the New York Stock Exchange on last week. He rang the introducing bell or the opening bell for the New York Stock Exchange. And for the first time in history, you saw someone of that magnitude. Now, somebody told me that Ronald Reagan also rang the bell. I didn't know that. The article says that this was the first time a president rang the bell. So if it was Ronald Reagan that did that before, and then now President Trump will have been the second president to ring the opening bell for the New York Stock Exchange. But historically, celebrities have rang the opening bell for the New York Stock Exchange. And again, Trump rang it 51 times. So I asked everybody to figure out what was the significance of the 51 bell ring, because everything they do, there's a meaning, there's a reason for it. Now, again, 5 + 1 does equal 6, which is supposed to be the number of, humanity, or the number of life. Carbon being 666. Now, they would try to tell you that 666 is a bad number or ominous number, but actually it's about life. It's about carbon, melanin, which everything that's living has. People, plants, Animals, insects all have some type of carbon or some amount of carbon in it. So what is next on the news is not only did Petronas launch a study to see if silver and gold can be used as legal tender, meaning you'll be able to use silver and gold to purchase local goods and services. But now you can see that the state of Florida is set to actually launch their own gold backs on January the 15th. And so I want to thank Sister Nikki, one of my friends in a private group that I have, for showing me, proving that Florida will indeed use silver and gold as legal tender. Because I've been talking about this for a while. And she's like, look at this article. This is so exciting. And this is breaking news because a lot of people don't know this, family. Now, of course, it would be that we'll just wait a second. My computer just froze. Hold on. So we'll wait a second while my computer has frozen. I was going to read this article to you. So basically, it lets you know that on January the 15th, 2024, Florida will officially launch their new gold backs, but now you can pre-order. So I want you to Google it since I can't see it on my computer because my computer froze. You guys probably can hear me. Okay. You probably can hear me but not see me on my other social media platform. You guys can see me on Instagram, but they can't see me on Rumble, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and my others because my computer has frozen. We'll just wait. So if you want to get gold backs, family, then go online. You can get some gold backs that are I've been having problems telling you all about silver and gold. As a matter of fact, a couple years ago, I was reading an article from Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company. The CEO and owner of Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company and I had a business relationship, and I was an affiliate with him. And he would often talk about what's going on in the global economy. He would come on to my podcast. Well, his dad, David Sheckman, who actually started the company years ago or decades ago, wrote a newsletter article that said, get gold and silver now. He said, the time is now, like get into gold and silver is now. I mean, why you can't, I think that was like a year and a half ago. And so I talked about why you needed to go into gold and silver now. If you had a savings and you had a retirement and you just wanted to roll it over into something that was secure, that was, help fight against inflation, I was like, just roll your savings over into silver and gold. And I read the article from David Sheckman about why now and how billionaires and millionaires and major companies were actually buying up silver and gold en masse. And I talked about how the central banks were amassing a lot of gold to themselves for the first time in history. Like they were buying historical amounts of gold. So as I'm reading this news article by David Sheckman, the owner and founder of Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company, people started blowing up my phone like, why can't we hear you anymore? Like, what happened to your video? And I'm just talking away thinking I'm still live. And so when I tried to look for my video, the deep state mainstream cabal, whoever they are, Illuminati, had taken my whole channel down while I was talking about silver and gold. No warning, no nothing, just took down the channel. Then I would create another channel and another and another and another till I did it about 8 times. They would keep taking my channels down. If I talked about silver and gold, if I talked about Donald Trump being a real president, if I talked about the deep state doing bad things to our children, all these things that they didn't want you to know would keep me from being monetized. As a matter of fact, I talked about a Black Swan event that would shut down the whole world and cause us to be on some type of curfew and warn people to get products and food and water and supplies before the shutdown. It was crazy. So Twitter tried to silence me. A whole bunch of people came on my account and said I was a fraudulent, and some of my, and I only wrote an article. I didn't even do a video then. But it was too late for them. They tried to silence me on Facebook. They tried to silence me on Twitter and other places. And I had just written an article on my Facebook account. But somebody took that article and put it in an independent journal source. I think it was like Rumor Mills or something like that. They put it in Rumor Mills, and it was another one about Restore Republic. And then they put it on not Until Freedom, but And Now We Know. They sent it to that podcast because that was a really big YouTube channel a while ago, like in 2020. Yeah. And the article blew up. And then days later, the whole world shut down. So they know who I am. They know my bloodline. They know I'm a prophet. They know I'm a prophetess. They know I'm a seer. They know that I am an empress of my own dynasty. They know who you are. They know who your bloodline is. And that's why a lot of you have been attacked. A lot of you, sometimes you get sick. You don't know why. Sometimes your channels go away. Sometimes things happen in your family. It's because the people in power know who you are. And they are threatened by certain people, certain bloodlines, and certain energies. However, it's important for us to stay positive, to keep our vibrations high, because these vibrations that you and I are emitting right now, we are what's taking down the deep state, as well as benevolent forces, interdimensional beings, angels, whatever we want to call them, ancestors that have returned to help us. But us being awakened and us not allowing their bad news and the negative things that they do to keep us oppressed and suppressed, and we're not allowing them to lower our frequencies, is something that's very, very difficult for them, because they can't control us as long as we keep our vibrations high, and as long as we stay together, and as long as we keep speaking the truth, because the truth will make people free. The truth literally takes the shackles off people's minds. Interestingly enough, a lot of people are waking up because of people like you and me here, our soul family, that's been sounding an alarm. There's a scripture. What is it? Isaiah 58. What does Isaiah 58 says? We used to have to say this every single Sabbath day, every Saturday, and I love it. Remember that? For some of you that's in the house of God, it would say, cry aloud, spare not. Lift up your voice like a trumpet. Show my people their transgressions and the house of Jacob their sins. So we would say this every day to etch it in our brains that we are to speak the truth no matter what. Cry aloud, spare not. Show my people their transgressions and the house of Jacob their sins. So a lot of us here in this movement have been speaking out loud and saying the deep state, the cabal, mainstream media, the entertainers, and some of the athletes, Hollywood, many people in politics have been doing too many nefarious things to keep our vibrations low. They would have these negative movies, a bunch of murder a bunch of unaliving of children. They would participate in child hunting parties. They would have continue with this ritualistic abuse. They would encourage women to get abortions, right, in order to take away the children before they even had a chance. But people like me, people like you would cry aloud and say, listen, this is wrong. We have to stop this foolishness. We have to stop this madness. Don't let anybody keep you from speaking the truth, because now people are waking up and they're coming to an awareness that taking away children, ripping the children from their mother's womb under the guise of reproductive rights was one of their rituals, so that they can use the body parts of our children for their medicines, for their face masks, to drink their blood, to do all type of things, to sacrifice the children to Molech and Baal, which the Bible warns us against. They've been doing this, family, for centuries. So a lot of us now are waking up to that because we wouldn't shut up. Even if the deep state tried to silence us and take away our businesses and take away our money. And this is why it's a wonderful thing that President Trump came up with this Digital Bill of Rights Act on December the 15th, 2023, on the same date that we commemorate the Bill of Rights being ratified. We have a right to speech, free speech. And even though the deep state has minions that are continually propping up this program and its agenda to keep us silent, we just keep coming back, speaking the truth. But now we're being rewarded because family members and friends are coming to us saying, I repent for, the abortions that I had. I didn't know any better. I couldn't help it. Or, I was misguided, or I didn't think I could take care of the child, but I'm turning away from that behavior and I'm not going to do it anymore. And what we say to those people is, God has grace and mercy, and God, or the supreme creator's grace, is sufficient for you, but you must not go back and do it again. Okay. Now people are coming to us and saying, I realize what you were saying about the financial system being a part of the deep state. And we understand that greenbacks are fiat dollars that's backed by nothing. But if we want to maintain the value of the money and the savings that we have, we need to roll it over into silver and gold. How can I do that? We're saying, okay, you need to look at your local coin company first. If you need some silver and gold right away, build a relationship with them, because you never know, you might want to exchange silver and gold, or when we get the new currencies that are backed by silver and gold, you might want to exchange that for gold and silver, either now or in the future. So build a relationship with them and know that silver and gold has always been used as money. And if you cannot do that, or if you want the best prices, it's probably best to go online, because these precious metals dealers can get deals from wholesalers. And so for the people that ask me who I got my silver from, I couldn't afford gold. It just wasn't in my budget. I would tell them I got it from Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company, because that's with whom I had a relationship. So for those of you who want to, to go to Miles Franklin or any place really that's closer to you or that you have a relationship with. But if you want to go to Miles Franklin, then you can give them a call at 952-929-7006, or you can send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. And you can let them know that Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you. But I will tell you, they do have the best prices in the industry from my research. But it's also a good idea to establish a relationship with the local dealers. You want to establish a relationship with your local dealers, because it's always important to know who in your community is selling silver and gold, or is selling things that you might need in the future. I just believe in supporting local retailers for anything, honestly. So now that we're back, somebody says, Mario says, lovely Dr. Kia, it's always a good day to start the day with an amazing lady as you. That's so sweet on this life's journey. Thank you. Hi, Michael. Michael says, hi, Queen. You couldn't see me because my computer froze. Stephanie. So let's see, now that we're back and everybody can see me and hear me, let me show you how states are restoring silver and gold as money. I know I've shown you this many times, but I'm going to show you again. Let me see if I can get this banner off here. going to show you again. Oh, thank you, Tristan. You're always taking such good care of me. Thank you, Tristan, for sending me $50. God bless you. Heaven smiling you is my prayer. You guys can't see it on Instagram, but I'm showing the sticker on my other channels of Tristan, who's always taking care of me. Thank you, Tristan. May the Most High bless you with abundance, prosperity, and peace. Thank you. Johnny says that I need to bring David Straight on my channel. Dr. Key, people need to know about these two men, David Straight on our birth certificate trust and Ron Gibson. Okay, thank you. Well, you guys heard those two names. If you all know a link where I can get a hold of those two, I would love to bring them on my podcast. Yes, Tristan gave me a very early Christmas present. Thank you, Tristan. Do you know whenever they mess with my podcast, like taking me down or freezing my computers, it throws me off. Like it messes up my rhythm, my cadence. I had the podcast all situated how I wanted to say things, but it throws me off. And I think they do that intentionally. Tristan says, speak the truth. Thank you. Peace and love to you too, Snooky. David says, Dr. Kia, all indications are showing that the Iraqi dinar's reinstatement has occurred. It should go at any minute. Several banks' wealth management teams are starting to state openly that this is happening soon. Thank you, David Stowers. Okay, let me see if I can show you this. I got to get this banner off of here. Not Tristan's banner, but the one I had. Okay, let's read this article. Keep checking in, family. So the breaking news is that Florida launched their new gold backs, and you can go online and actually put your name on a waiting list because they will come out January the 15th, and they will start that week actually sending them to you in the mail if you order them. But before that, let me show you that a growing number of Americans are now starting to understand and overstand the importance of gold and silver as money. This article says state laws can help restore gold and silver as money. And the reason why state laws are passed in legislation to recognize gold and silver as money is because our republic, our lawful government, is being restored. According to our Constitution, the only thing that can be used to pay off debts in Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution is silver and gold. And the Constitution acknowledges money as acknowledges silver, as money. And then you've had many bills that were passed by legislators such as Representative Alexander Mooney of West Virginia, Paul Gosar, and Andy Briggs to introduce the Gold Standard Restoration Act to also define the dollar as a fixed weight in gold. So the Constitution recognized silver and gold as money and as the only method that you may use to pay off debts. So all states are now changing their laws by repealing the state sales tax from precious metals to be in alignment with the Constitution that says you can use gold and silver as money. This article was actually published by the Sound Money Defense League, and it reads as follows: thus, a growing number of Americans understand that the reckless creation of fiat currency by the Federal Reserve is causing many of our economic problems. So people want to abolish the Federal Reserve and return to the gold-backed currency that brought America and the world unprecedented prosperity throughout the 19th century. To date, the article goes on to say, about midway in the article, 45 states have removed some or all of the taxes from the purchase of gold and silver. Of those 5 states that still apply this outmoded tax to the purchases of precious metals, most of them are expected to consider ending this tax in the year of 2025. So this was the article that said 45 states repeal the state sales tax from the sales of precious metals. But there's another article that was published by the Sound Monetary Defense League that says more than 45 states have repealed the state sales taxes from the sales of precious metals. In addition to that, we all know that all banks must be Basel III and Basel IV compliant if they want to continue to run as a bank, but they will actually be running as wealth management centers, excuse me. They have to be Basel III and Basel IV compliant in that they have to, one, recognize gold as a tier 1 asset. In layman's terms, that means banks must recognize gold and silver as money and not a commodity. Because again, remember, a commodity is a something that you can use that's like a collectible. So now banks may not recognize gold and silver as a mere commodity, but they have to recognize and acknowledge it at these two metals as money, according to Basel III. The second component of Basel III is that banks had to prepare to receive your tier 2 assets, meaning your foreign assets, your foreign currencies. And I've done 2 podcasts on that, how banks met globally to ensure that they were ready to receive foreign currencies. They're ready for the currency exchange, is what the article states. And we also know that this summer, the Supreme Court of the United States overturned, not overturned, but they ruled that state-sponsored banks could have their own charter, and they can now have their own laws and rules that are separate from the Federal Reserve central banking system. So state-sponsored banks can now have their own charter, their own rules, and issue their own gold-backed currencies. That happened this summer. Before that, we showed you how state by state was repealing state sales taxes from the sales of precious metals. All this was leading up to where we are today, where the whole world is rushing back to using gold as money. Now, everybody on this channel, unless you're new, you know about BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, that bloc or that union of countries that have all decided to stop trading with the dollar and use their own local currencies backed by silver and gold. So this is how they were preparing for this day where they would stop using the United States dollar, greenbacks, to purchase oil from Saudi Arabia and for anything, for any trading purposes. And all of that BRICS making an agreement to stop trading with the dollar, use their own currencies backed by silver and gold. But they also, all of these countries also repatriated their gold and artifacts from the Vatican in the last couple of years. So they were all getting ready. Banks were also buying up gold in record numbers. China, different countries were buying up gold in record numbers. And you saw countries like Zimbabwe in Africa make agreements with China, the benevolent faction of the Chinese government, for China to help them mine the gold that's in Zimbabwe. And we started bringing out those articles in 2018. So this has been in the making for some time. It's just that they didn't let people know. And that's why I'm telling you now, when you see them say things like, we're going to do something, or we're considering to doing a study, or it's a possibility that something is going to happen in the future, it's already been done by the time mainstream media catches up. But independent journalists like me have a tendency to, spread the news before it even comes out. And that's why we've been silenced. They don't want the people to know what's really going on. They would rather you be upset, angry, and confused with all the bad news that comes out in the media, with all the low vibrational frequencies that's in the music, because as long as we're terrorized, angry, also with all the unaliving of people like men classified as Black, as long as they could keep us vibrating on those low frequencies and anger, terror, and pushing in us this desire to be violent against one another, we're more easily controlled, and we emit a psychic energy that they call loosh, because these beings, these interdimensional beings, what people call extraterrestrial, that were enslaving the planet, eat loosh. They thrive on that energy that comes from our body, this psychic energy. They sit in it. They eat it like food, like we eat water. I mean, we drink water and eat food. You know, when you think about the Bible and it talks about how God inhabits the praises of his people, he sits down in the praises, you know, how God and entities actually relish and become enlarged and feed off of people that praise them and laud them. It's the same thing with negative energies. They feed off that. The negative beings, they feed off those energies. And we even feed off the energies of each other. If you're coming in my presence and you're high vibrational and you're happy and you're positive, I can feel that. That lifts my mood. But if somebody's coming into your presence and they're constantly down, they're always complaining, something's always going on bad in their life, whether it's real or imagined, it has the propensity to drag you down. So this is why I keep telling everybody, keep your vibrations high, stay as positive as you can. And if you have the opportunity, wear gold and silver, copper, and all these high vibrational metals, because we have silver and gold receptors in our brain and in our bodies. That's one of the real reasons why they took us off the gold and silver standard. Because if you have a people walking around everywhere with gold and silver and all these metals that raise your vibrational frequencies, you are less likely to be controlled. And you are more likely to walk in your godship. I'm not saying your kingship or your queenship. I'm saying your godship. The scripture says you are God's. You were created in the image of source. Everything, every body, every animal, every entity, every insect has source within it. Whether you were seeded here by extraterrestrials or source itself, you ought to be operating as God. And when you wear gold and silver, it literally lifts your vibrations. It raises your consciousness. It opens up your pineal glands. Your body responds to it. It lifts your mood. I've said many times, if I feel sick or my mood is low, I'll just put silver underneath my pillow and lay on it, or I'll put it on my body, and all of a sudden I feel better. Or I'll take monoatomic gold and silver, or monoatomic gold, silver, and colloidal gold and silver and copper. And over time, I just feel so much better, and my psychic abilities, become more clear. I dream better. It's just amazing what these metals do for us. So it's not just money. And they say that the Anunnakis came to the planet to take silver and gold in order to heal their planet. The Anunnaki beings are extraterrestrials. More specifically, they took gold. So these metals are amazing. These metals can heal you. It raises your frequencies. And this is why now scientists have actually created healing technologies using silver to get rid of brain-eating amoebas, because we have silver receptors in our brain. So all this to say that the world is rushing back toward using gold as money. And as I've told you many times, King's World came up with an article on February the 16th that said the same. The world is hurtling back to using gold as money. And it talks about how Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, and his Asian allies, Russians allies, actually led the whole world to stop trading with the dollar and to move toward using their own local currencies backed by gold and silver. So I've talked to you about this many times in detail, so I won't go into it. Don't go into this article here much, but I will say that I'll read the first two paragraphs. According to evidence which is widely ignored in Western capital markets, a move by Russia to put a new trade settlement currency and possibly the ruble as well into a new gold standard is becoming a certainty. As a weapon of mass fiat currency destruction, the timing is probably bound up in on-ground military considerations, which are already showing signs of escalating in eastern Ukraine. That was last year when this was published. As well as using gold to undermine the Western currency system. A return to a credible gold standard has significant advantages for Russia and for her allies in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So let me pause here by saying it's not just BRICS, the Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa coalition that have decided to use gold as money and to back their currencies, and therefore drop the United States dollar, which is backed by nothing. But the Shanghai Cooperation Organization has done the same which means the whole world, like this article said, has returned to using gold and silver as money. So using gold to undermine the Western currency is one way that they've acknowledged that we must return to gold as the standard, but actually returning to gold as the standard by the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in joining BRICS has led to what we call now BRICS Plus. All of their commodity suppliers will now use gold. At the same time, the article goes on to say, if this will destroy the West's fiat currency and their financial system, meaning this will destroy the Federal Reserve central banking system. But that is attached to the United States Incorporated, or the fake faux government that had usurped authority and powers from our lawful republic here in America and abroad, your countries, wherever you're hailing from. So these bloodline families are currently being taken down by the military, but behind the scenes, you also have people in power that are creating laws and making trade agreements to completely end the dollar and to use their own local currencies backed by silver and gold. Not only is this happening in the world with the Shanghai Cooperation Organizations and the BRICS Plus nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa coalition, but it's happening here in America. And that's why the Sound Monetary Defense League printed out that article, 2 articles that I found that says 45 states reclaim silver and gold as money, and the other one says more than 45 states repealed the state sales taxes from precious metals, thus acknowledging silver and gold as money. And that leads me to the final article that I want to show you here. Here you go. That says Florida, where is it? Is set to launch their new Florida Goldbacks on January the 15th, 2025. So you can sign up for the wait list, and as soon as they have them in their inventory, they'll let you know. The pre-sale began on December the 2nd, 2024. What are the Goldbacks? They're tangible wealth in small denominations, the article says. They're portable and durable currency. They are currency bills of 24 karat gold, and they're a hedge against the devaluation of the US dollar. You all don't know how happy I am right now, how just elated I feel, because for so long I've been saying these Goldbacks are gold plated with 24 karat gold, the ones that were already printed by Wyoming and Utah and some other states. And how I kept saying when people like, I can't afford silver and I can't afford gold, you're just trying to make money. I was like, go and get the Goldbacks for $5 and $6. Because at the time when people were saying it's not real money, they were like $5 and $6 for 5 of them. Literally 5 of them. And I would say you can get a denomination of gold for less than $10. Real gold, but it's okay. If you got in it early when we were talking about it, or before I even knew it, then good for you. We're able to get it at a very, very low price. But now, whatever price they have it at set at now, you'll still be able to get Goldbacks. So again, these Goldbacks are tangible wealth in small denominations. You guys can see it right here if you're on my other social media accounts outside of Instagram. But I can show you Instagram. Tangible wealth in small denominations, portable and durable currency bills of 24 karat gold, a hedge against the devaluation of the dollar, the US dollar. So if you're interested in Florida Goldbacks, then family, you can sign up for this waiting list. But there are other places where you can actually get these Goldbacks. Let's see, what do they call these Goldbacks? I forgot the name of it. Aurum, gold Aurum notes, AURUM. So you can just maybe Google gold Aurum notes. Let me see. And they have them on eBay. I'm gonna show you guys here. They have them on bullionsharks.com. They have them at AppMex. Let's see if I can bring this up for you. You can get gold RM notes from many places, but the Florida gold backs are the ones that are not in yet. Let me share the screen with you. Right here. So here on this screen, you see, you can get them from JM Bullion, APMEX, Bolarum, Bullion Sharks, and many other places. But let's pull up APMEX since we talked about APMEX. Now, a lot of these companies actually sell some of their products on eBay. That's why you can get them cheaper on eBay, but they sell them on their own website, and they sell them on eBay because they're trying to reach a broader audience. This is what they look like here. That's a gold back. Let me see what this one is. That's a $1 gold back. I think it's in one denominations, but you can get them in other denominations. All right, here you have to alert them. Here was one for $5. It was a Utah gold back for $5 at APMEX. But there was a time you can get 5 or 6 of them for $5 because I got some, $5 or $6. Let me see, you guys can't see that there, so let me stop sharing it. So that's about it, family. I just wanted to let you know that America is preparing for the gold standard. And here in Florida, they announced that they were going to launch their gold backs by way of saying that they were studying to see how gold and silver could be used as legal tender. I said it then, days ago, they're preparing you. But I said it years ago that the whole world would be going back to where silver and gold is money. And now here we are. In other news, family, on tomorrow at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will have somebody that I've become quite close to, my friend, David Quigley, on the Dr. Kia Pruitt Show at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. David Quigley is John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. He came out a couple of years ago announcing that he was taken from his family and put into protective custody. He wrote a whole book about his life called Stolen Identity, where he unveils the truth about how his father was unalive, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, and how his mom and almost all of his bloodline, if not all of them, but according to his recollection, all of them had been eliminated in order for these people to steal the Kennedy legacy, to steal their wealth as well. So he tells the story about how they took out his dad, they took out his mom. Then his mom married a billionaire called Aristotle Onassis. You guys know about the shipping magnate, the oil magnate, Aristotle Onassis, and she did that for her protection. In the meantime, the cabal, the deep state, the government, these bloodline families that control the whole family, the whole world, the world, human population, the whole world, they unalived his stepdad, Aristotle Onassis, and stole his wealth. Well, before they unalived him, Aristotle Onassis, had a baby with his mistress, Maria Callas, who was an opera singer. Now they're starting to talk about her. Once he started talking about this opera singer, they're going to do a Hollywood, or whoever's participating in Hollywood is supposed to be doing a remake of her. But Aristotle Onassis and his mistress, probably unbeknownst to the wife, Jackie Kennedy Onassis, had a child. And according to David Quigley, that child's name is George. George took the place of or replaced the real J.F. Kennedy Jr. But they grew up together, according to his story. And this Aristotle Onassis child, whose name is George, later on went on to play J.F. Kennedy Jr., and he wrote the George magazine, where he was dropping cues about who he really was. And then he, according to our information of what we've been told, died in a plane crash. So a lot of people just assume that John Fitzgerald Kennedy died or perished. Now, it's interesting to me that all over social media, all over the place, people are coming out saying, I'm JF Kennedy. So they want us to know that the real JF Kennedy somehow survived a plane crash. And here we are today with David Quigley, who comes out showing, pictures of his ears, a portrait of him as a child, portraits of him saluting his dad, portraits of him in Hollywood, portraits of him all as he's growing up, indicating that he is the real John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. And he looks like the same child that was doing a salute when his dad passed. But we're going to let him come on and share his story with us and talk about how the deep state unalived his family, put him in protective custody after that. But you have to understand and understand that protective custody is also controlled by the deep state and the cabal. So he talks about the abuse that he endured. He talks about the things that he saw happen in Hollywood. He talks about what happens to his family and his bloodline, how they took out his dad, his mom, his whole family, including Aristotle Onassis, his stepfather. And he talks about how before his mom passed, she paid the Hell's Angels to protect him. Well, he's been coming out for the last 2 years, I believe, telling his story. And every time he tries to tell his story, they take down his social media accounts. Every time people like me share his story or bring him on, they take down our accounts, or they put strikes on our channels, or they demonetize us, or they find a way to punish us. So that lets me know there must be something that they don't want us to know about this man's story. The information that he provides about what goes on in Hollywood and at the highest level in the deep state, it's eye-opening. It's heart-wrenching. So whether or not you believe this is the real John Fitzgerald Kennedy, I would still encourage you to come onto the show tomorrow to see what he has to say. And I would encourage you to ask him questions. He'll be here with my special guest co-host, Ron Anthony. Ron Anthony is a gentleman who is a singer that almost went into mainstream. In fact, he did go into mainstream until he got to the point where they were asking him to do some nefarious things to children and make sacrifices, and he refused to do it. Well, the deep state got back at him. Unfortunately, it's crazy the way they do it by taking out 2 of his children. And Ron Anthony has been on my podcast to share his story. So he came to know John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. They know some of the same people in Hollywood. They have become pretty close. And once I got to see some of JFK Jr., also known as David Quigley, that's the name the deep state gave him when they sold him to a family that they trafficked him to, and that family was abusing him. But once I started watching his videos, I wanted to interview him, and I kept trying to send him messages, but I don't think he got my message. And I would pray, I'm like, God, I got to get him on my channel. Then somehow Ron and I became friends because Ron watched my podcast with Gold Star Mother Susan Price. And so she told me, like, this guy named Ron keeps emailing. I'm like, yeah, he's emailing me too. And she's like, he wants to meet us. So we became friends with Ron Anthony, and Ron Anthony on his own became friends with JFK Jr. He interviewed him. And then thankfully God heard my prayers, and Ron Anthony introduced me to JF Kennedy Jr. And so that led me to a couple interviews with JFK Jr. You can look across my channels on YouTube or Rumble to learn about him. And I also reviewed his book. So on tomorrow at 5:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to talk about how the day of reckoning is coming. Justice is coming for John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. and for the children that the deep state has done heinous things to. The day of reckoning is coming for them, because people who they thought had forgotten or they thought they had gotten rid of are now coming out and speaking their piece. They refuse to be silenced. So I encourage you to go on my YouTube channel and look for that video that's called The Day of Reckoning is Coming. Then I have Dr. Kia Pruitt, Ron Anthony, and featuring JFK Jr. That'll be Friday, December the 20th, 2024, 5:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time across all my social media channels. So I look forward to seeing you there. In conclusion, family, before I answer your questions, I desire to keep you encouraged and knowing that even though a lot of us are going through financially, a lot of us are like, it's like we're getting priced out of living. Some of us can't afford our bills. I know it's hard for a lot of us, but something behind the scenes is happening, family, where the world has dropped the dollar for trade, and they've decided that they no longer want to participate in using the dollar to buy oil or to peg their dollars to. As we told you with Project Sandman, 209 nations agreed behind the scenes to stop trading with the dollar and use their own local currencies backed by the resources that their countries have. And they have resources. The resources that were stolen, they had repatriated back to them from the Vatican. This is what will back their currencies. We also saw an article or many articles come out that let us know that digital assets and digital coins are now being freely traded. So you'll have digital assets in this new golden system, and you'll have currencies that are backed by silver and gold as money, and you will outright have gold and silver as money. And this is why the state of Florida just made this announcement that on January the 15th, they will officially launch their gold backs, and you can now sign up for them to receive them. But Florida's not the only state. We already had states that had gold backs. Or you can also call them gold Arum notes. They are legal tender. I just read you the article that let you know that it's real gold, 14 karat gold that's plated onto a note. Some states already have those. Right now in those states, you can use silver and gold to purchase local goods and services. Look up those articles and you will see that. So that's it for this podcast, family. The whole world is rushing back to using silver and gold as money. And although you'll see articles that will tell you that, the world is against America, the world is, launching an attack against our financial system, it's not America they have a problem with. It's the deep state. It's the United States Incorporated. It's the bloodline families who have their own banking system called the Federal Reserve that usurped authority from our republic. Two different things: the Republic for America and the United States Incorporated, the bloodline families that incorporated themselves as a company, as a business to enslave the planet. The whole world is against those bloodline families, and they're using their power by refusing to trade with the United States dollar and using their own currencies. They're using their power to destroy the central bank financial system. So this is why banks here in America will now, they're going to go out of existence as banking institutions as we know it. Remember, I talked about Basel III and Basel IV compliancy. All banks that are here have to be compliant by January 2025, meaning they have to recognize gold as a tier 1 asset. They have to be prepared to receive your tier 2 assets, and they have to become very transparent and let us know what they're doing. And they can no longer bail themselves in by stealing our money and making sure they're okay. And they can't use the money that you put in the wealth management system or the bank to then invest in other things like they had been doing in the past. All that has to happen by January 2025. And as we know, that's when President Trump will be inaugurated on the 20th. So many things are happening to help us. We just need to stay encouraged. In addition to all this, you'll have NESARA benefits that will roll out and GESARA benefits that will bring wealth into society, or how we say it, inject trillions of dollars into the global markets. Let me see if I can get some of your questions before we go. Tammy says, yes, the bells are for healing. That's what Trump did when he rang the bells at the New York Stock Exchange the other day. It's a warning and a clue that our bells are coming back so we can all heal. Thank you for that, Tammy. Dr. Kia will answer you, Archive Turtle. What did Archive Turtle say? Wait, I missed the section about getting gold backs. How do you do that? Oh, how do you get gold backs? Okay, you can Google gold Arum notes, AURUM, and you can then see that all the companies that actually sell them. But if you want the Florida gold backs, those won't be issued out until January the 15th. So you can go to these companies already and purchase these gold Arum notes or gold backs. Archive Turtle. Thank you for that question. Let me see, family. I'm trying to get to your questions. Patriot Mama says, I heard that it might be Canada, Australia, and New Zealand that will join America, and Mexico to join with Spain, excuse me, as they speak the same language. Okay. Yeah, I remember somebody says when I was a child, we didn't need a passport to visit Canada. I remember visiting Canada in 2002 or 3 without a passport. So what they did was they used 9/11 as a reason to force us to use passports to get into Canada. 9/11 happened in 2001. Then a couple years after that, you had to then get a passport. But the first time I went, I didn't need a passport. Joe Organic Bubble says 51 equals majority rule. 51 equals Area 51. And that is the answer to my question where I asked the audience, why did Trump ring the bell 51 times when he rang the opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange? On December the 12th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that was the 12-12-12 portal, the 12th month, the 12th day, and even the time, 9 + 3 = 12. 51 rings equals, this is Adelaida, 51st week for the year to end is the fall. It falls on December the 24th. Then there are 52 weeks of the year, which starts on the 25th. Perhaps Christmas Eve will be our eve of celebration, Adelaida says. So let's see. Somebody says I purchased silver notes some time ago. That's awesome. That is wonderful. I'm trying to see if anybody has questions before we end. Yes, justice is coming. Sheena's intuitive reading says, so glad to hear justice is coming for these children. Praise God. You know what, Sheena, I've been wanting to ask you this. Everybody's not into readings or tarot, but if you feel compelled to share something with the soul family, like with your gift that you use, and you would like to share it with us, I welcome you to come on the show to let us know what your sources say, or your higher self, or using the medium that you use. Now, everybody's not for it, and I understand that, I understand that, but I'm just saying you're welcome to come. Even if it's you're praying and God is dropping something in your spirit, then please let us know what you feel. Because some people do want to know if anybody has an idea when Nasara is going to happen, or Jasara. When are we going to finally realize in our bank accounts the wealth and prosperity that we know is coming? Nancy says, did Ronald Reagan do it as a president or a celebrity because he was a celebrity at one time? That's right. Ronald Reagan may have run the bell as a celebrity. Good question. Because I said that according to the article I read, the only president that ever rang the bell at the opening of the New York Stock Exchange was President Donald Trump. But then somebody told me Ronald Reagan did the same thing. And now she's saying that perhaps he did it as a celebrity. Tammy says, 17 years ago, I turned my 401k and wanted to go to silver and gold. My bank told me it will never be. And I believed them, and they screwed me over. I would have been okay today. Banks are evil. Yes, they are. I have family members, when I told them like the dollar, and they would call me like, my dollar is losing value. And I'm like, why is losing value? Please know it still has some value. The dollar, roll it over into something that is considered a hard asset, like silver, like gold, like land, like a business, something like that, so that it will maintain its value. But the bankers and financial advisors would tell them that silver and gold were not money and that they didn't have value. And so a lot of people lost the value of the dollar that they have been saving through their retirement accounts. But people didn't know, but now they know better. And people like you and me can help them and encourage them. So that's it, family. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. And I also want to thank you all for the blessings. Some of you sent me money through what they call it, Super Chat here on YouTube. Thank you so much. I want to thank Tristan again very much for blessing me with $50. I'm so grateful. And I also want to thank all of you who have blessed me through Cash App. on my next live, I will take the time to let everybody know who it was or to announce your names. And so that's about it, family. For anybody that appreciates my work, my brother's trying to call me. I'm going to have to go. Appreciates my work and you desire to support me, you can send a cash app if you so desire to $ Mama Kia 13. That's $ MAMAKIA 13. And I would greatly appreciate it. You have blessed me. You have helped me through the storm when all my social media platforms were censored, and I appreciate it. But I'm no better than anybody else. I had to go out and get a job that could pay money weekly, just like everybody else. And I've also always maintained a job as a substitute school teacher, but sometimes you take breaks in order to study, research, and report on the news. However, I want to thank you all so much for how you supported me through this process, through monetary blessings, through email, encouraging letters, calls, messages, all that. I thank you all so very much. Sheena says, thank you, Dr. Kia. I'll be glad to share my wisdom. I've been blessed with a high queen intuition of reckoning truth. I pray and consult the Holy Spirit. Sheena, please email me at kiapruitt@gmail.com. Email me or just put in the chat your email address and we'll get together and come up with a time where we can collaborate. Yes, the Zim notes are bonds, so you'll be able to redeem those. And on the top left, it says, this is a promise to pay the bearer upon demand. So it doesn't quite operate as a currency like the currencies that you all have, the Iraqi dinar, this Venezuelan bolivar, and what else do you all have? Some of you have the Vietnamese dong and others. So that's it, family. I hope that I said something to encourage you. Please know that the whole world is rushing back towards silver and gold as money. America is the same. We're no different. We're all preparing to go back to the gold standard. And that's why more than 45 states have removed or repealed the state taxes from the sales of precious metals. We've also gotten rid of capital gains tax because it used to be a time if you sold silver and gold, you could be taxed for that, okay? But now they're removing capital gains tax. What other taxes will go away? The IRS will go away. There will be no more income tax. As a matter of fact, with NESARA GESARA, the only thing that will be taxed are large ticketed items, and that will only receive a 14% tax. So we're moving into a whole golden era, which is why President Trump said in his unexpected announcement from Mar-a-Lago just a couple days ago that the golden age for America starts now. And this is also why I came on my podcast and reported that on December 14th, when I prayed and I consulted my highest self and the Most High, and I asked, when will people start to see with their eyes and realize this monetary reset? He said tomorrow. That was the 15th. And this is when all these announcements came out. And I also told you, and I wrote it on a note before it happened, and I showed you so that you can see that this is something that's real. I wrote it down. December the 17th, you will have major announcements to come out. And we read for you on the 17th what those announcements are. So that's it, family. I love you all so very much. And I'm always encouraged by you tuning in and helping me out and supporting me. And I just want to thank you so much for believing in me or knowing that what I'm telling you is the truth. Somebody says, why does Trump have new silver hair? Maybe he's dropping cues. Maybe he's letting us know that we're moving towards gold and silver as money. So that's it. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I hope I said something to raise your vibrations and inspire you to create the most amazing, magnificent life that you desire and deserve. If you missed the podcast, go back to my YouTube or Rumble channel at Dr. Kia Pruitt or at Dr. Kia Pruitt Official. And you can speed through it if you want by going 1.2 speed or 1.5, or you can even go 2.0 and speed it up and listen to the podcast and read the comments, read the chat, because people are often dropping cues and information about the global currency reset. They're dropping clues about the republic being restored, and they're telling you where you can get gold and silver or gold and silver Arum notes, also known as gold backs or silver backs, and they're letting you know where you can buy your currencies. That's it, family. Go out and make this a great day. Peace. Remember, tomorrow, 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll have John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr., also known as David Quigley, on our show. Bye-bye.